Hello, my name is Amadi, and I'll be talking about W.E. Du Bois. Du Bois was a African American man who believed that education should be enforced, and that we should be able to have a choice to whether or not to go to school. And the concept that we're talking about today is the veil, the color line, double consciousness, of course, and the talented 10th. The color line is meaning that black people are not treated fairly according to white people, according to what white people get treated like. This was developed because, let's see, Du Bois described this as black people were treated differently because of the color of our skin. And this is something that we experience today. Just like an example of this would be when a black kid is punished harsher than a white person for the same act that they committed, but the black person gets the harsher treatment, of course, like it's always been. The second one is the veil. The veil is an invisible wall between black people and white people. It means that white people see us behind the veil, which means that they don't fully see us. And we can see how society is different from everyone else. The third concept is double consciousness, which means that we look at ourselves, and then we look at ourselves to how society views us. Meaning, you see yourself as a double coin sometimes. To explain that, this creates a conflict. This is a conflict between ourselves, because we see the way society views, and then we see the way we should view ourselves. And we feel that we have two identities, but we only have one identity in reality. And then it's the talented 10th. That is when you have the leaders and teachers and activists and so forth who should get an education, because they are the leaders that's going to help the next generation. And this is the top 10% of the black people that will fight for progress and equality. An example of the veil would be on social media, when we talk about microaggressions, how people are following us in the store, and how nobody knows except black people. Double consciousness is a black student feeling the need to act different around their white friends, or around other people other than color. The way you need to act professional when you code switch. You need to code switch on the phone, but you could act around your homies like you normally would. The feeling to need to switch back and forth between two identities. The talented 10th, an example of that is the scholars, the black scholars, the STEM professionals, and the creators, such as content creators and so forth like that. The color line still matters because racial equality has not disappeared. It's still there, of course, in housing, gaps in wealth, school funding, and the color line helps us to see why we still have these issues in 2025, as it's supposed to be over with, but it still exists. And the veil is how people often talk about each other when discussing race. It still shows that white people don't see black people as equal. They still see us as inferior and under them still. And some people still feel that way, especially with Trump being in office now. MAGA feels as though it's okay for you to come out and say what you want to say and do what you want to do, because you don't have consequences for it. But there are consequences for your actions, whether the government holds you accountable or not. There is a day you will be judged. And double consciousness is when black people are still viewing themselves in a different manner, because they see how society sees them, and they're looking at themselves differently in the mirror, of course. And the educated and the talented 10th. That's one of the biggest opportunities for people today, especially black people, with going to school and getting good grades and be able to further go on in life. Let's see. Going back to why this stuff matters. Okay, the color line matters because there is still gaps in education, housing, wealth. And education example could be going to HBCU versus a PWI. You see that because HBCUs are underfunded. We have housing issues. There's not a lot of parking. There's gaps in the way our teachers are mostly black. The teachers probably are underpaid here than there would be at a PWI. So the difference in the degree, it's not a difference in degree, but it's where people see where you got it from. Example of the color, the veil, and why it still matters, because racism is still here. Even though people want to admit it or not, racism is still here. And we can see that when let's see, when there's racial profiling in the streets, driving while black, you're liable to get pulled over. So many black men, young black men, don't have a chance to live their life because they're pulled over by cops, and they never make it home. Double consciousness is trying to not fit the stereotype, but you feel the need to kind of blend in with your peers, and that can kind of make you just look at yourself in a negative light. And then the talented 10th, education is not equal, but we are trying to keep ourselves afloat and just kind of go with it and do black excellence. In conclusion, W.E.B. Du Bois wanted people to understand that black people can have lives like outside of slavery. That we matter too. We're not just people you can throw away. Like, you know, we are people, and it matters that we have lives also. And in that way, racism, of course, is still here. I want people to understand how racism can shape the identity, opportunity, and of course our daily lives. And his ideas, the color line, the veil, double consciousness, the talented 10th, they help us to see how racism is still here today. And these matter because they help us see the inequality and where we lack and where we are going to continue lacking unless a change comes.